Hello guys, welcome to another session of Nigeria Act. So today we'll be talking about Active Directory credential dumping. From our previous session, we've been able to establish that Active Directory is used to manage connected devices within your network and other resources like service accounts, user accounts, all users' credentials are managed on the Active Directory, you know. So what that means is that it is a go-to for every attacker because once the Active Directory is compromised, what it means is that attackers can actually establish lateral movements and they can access, any connected systems within the domain, especially using pass-the-hash attack. So let's take a look at what exactly the Ntds file is. So Ntds.dit file, it's it is used to store it's basically the Active Directory database file that is used to store all users' credential in the domain, right? So all the resources that are stored that have been managed by the Active Directory are stored within this file, including credentials of all users, right? So the NTDS file is also by default, it is logged by the LSAS process in memory. It is also encrypted, right, by a boot key, right, so that you just can't open it directly. So for this session, we'll be talking about NTDS password exfiltration techniques. So we'll be looking at several techniques that we can use to dump the credentials from the NTDS file. So this illustration shows some sort of the attack queue chain that most pen testers and attackers will always follow to dump credential from the Active Directory. You can see that we have the attacker trying to obtain required privilege, especially this is done by exploiting certain vulnerabilities on a compromised system, just like we did from our previous series, where we're able to exploit remote code execution vulnerability in SMB version 1. And we're also able to exploit that vulnerability to create a backdoor, right, on the Active Directory. We're able to create a domain user and also escalate the privilege of that user to become a domain, an admin user, right? So now our next stage will be to exfiltrate the NTDS file, database file, right? So we'll be looking at some techniques today that we can use to dump credentials from the NTDS file and also extract hashes, right? We can extract hashes and see if possible, if we can establish pass-the-hash attack, to carry out lateral movement within the network. So let's go straight to our lab, guys. Okay, guys, for our lab, this is the architecture that we'll be working with. We have an attacker machine sitting on this IP.101, right? We have our Active Directory on .103, right? Then also we have a text server that's hosts our application on .102. So on our previous series, we've been able to exploit the Active Directory, because it is running SMB protocol version 1, right? So we've been able to exploit that vulnerability using Metasploit, and we've been able to create a backdoor, create a domain user, right? So we'll be using that user account to kind of see how we can exfiltrate the ntds.dit file, and also we'll see how we can use pass-the-hash attack to compromise this test server, because right now we've not been able to discover any vulnerability on the test server, right? So let's go on to the lab. So guys, this is our lab. We have our Kali, our attacker machine. You can see the Active Directory, right? Then also we have the test server, right? So these are three systems. that we have. So to remotely extract the hashes from the NTDS file, we'll be making use of two tools. The first being Metasploit. Then we'll also be using the crack map exec tool. So for the Metasploit, I've just started the Metasploit using the MSF console, and this is where we have. So we'll be trying to utilize a tool called, is a Python script that is called secret dump. So let's do a search for secret dump. So guys, especially when you're looking out for a model to use, it's always good to do a search. So to see if that is currently available on Metasploit. You could see we have the secret dump. So this is a Python script that we'll be using to dump hashes from the NTDS file, right? So first of all, we have to be sure that we are able to reach the, what's it called, the Active Directory, and also we can reach our test server, right? Okay, so this is a good news. So let's go back to our Metasploit. So the first is that we've been able to search out for the script that we want to use, and you can see that we have an exploit from the Metasploit module. So we'll be using the first one, which is the auxiliary scanner, right? So like I said, you don't need to type it, you just need to state the number. And so I'm just going to put it as use 0. Okay, so the next thing is that we are going to look out for various options that are available for us to configure. You can see that we have remote host. It's not yet configured. We have SMB pass, we have SMB user. These are options, these are the module options that are yet to be configured. So we're going to set those up. So right now, we have the remote host set to the IP address of the domain controller, which is .8.103. Then we can do also the option. You can see that it is now set. We can further go on to set our SMB pass and user, which is the window domain, to use for the authentication. So from our previous series, like I said, we are able to remotely exploit the SMB version 1 vulnerability, and we're able to create a normal domain user, right? And also escalate the privilege of that user to become a domain admin. So we'll be using that user here, right, as our SMB user, and the password also. So SMB user, right? So the name of the user is Niger, right? Then also we're going to set the password SMB pass, right? Then we're going to let's see, I think this is the password we created earlier. So you guys can see I've been able to set some of the major module options that are required. So right now, right about, we just run the exploit and see if that's okay. So guys, you can see dumping lookout, that's SME hash, that's security account manager hash, right? You can see dumping SLA secret. Guys, where you can see that the exploit was successful, right? So you can see we have the username. You can see these are the usernames, right? You can see the usernames that we have, right? You can see the various users. These are the list of users we have on the Active Directory. You can see the LM hashes, that is the LAN manager hash, and we have the NTLM hash format. We can also see the SID. So a good thing that we need to also note, we can see the the Active Directory service account that is used for Kerberos authentication. You can see the SID and also the LM hash and the NTLM hash files, right? So a good thing would be to copy these out and put them on a notepad, right? So this is basically showing us that we've been able to dump hashes from the NTDS file using the secret dump Python tool. So I would like to also, okay, let's see, copy this out. So before we go on to look at the second technique, I'd like to see if we can establish lateral movement by carrying out a pass the hash attack on our test server, right? So let me see if we have a notepad. Just a minute. We have a notepad here. Sorry. Okay. We're going to still utilize our okay. Just gonna drop it somewhere here. Okay, guys. So this data explains to us, we can see, just like I said earlier, the list of users, their SID, their LM manager hash, and the NTLM hashes. So right now, let's see if we can explore, we can use this hash because to carry out a patch hash attack, you know. So in reality, what attackers will do is that they will go out to list out these NTLM hashes, right, and put them in a file. These are the NTLM hashes, right, and put them in a file. Then they'll go on to use tools like hashcards, join the Viper to crack this, you know, these hashes. But guys, we don't need to do that because we can use these hashes for pass hash attack. So let's go to search for PSExec. Yeah, so we are going to use the PSExec model in Metasploit. Okay, so this is a common one. So we're going to load up an exploit. So let's just sort of, you can simply copy it, right? You can copy and use it, but I prefer using the number. You can check the number by the side, which is 4, right? So you can see, and to load up the Metasploit payload, you can see it's now changed from scanner to it's changed from secret dump to PSExec. So like I always do, you can always check the options to see what is available for us to set. right? Okay, so we need to set our remote host, our ports, also SMB pass user. So SMB pass, right, which is the password. Then we also need to set our local host and our port, our local port. So what we want to use is, you can see that we have an we've been able to also dump hashes for the domain account, the administrator account. So I would like to use this for our pass-hash attack. So what I would do is to copy out the LM hash and the NTLM hash, right? Copy this. So this will be our SMB pass, while this will be our SMB user. Right, so let's go on to set that up. Okay, so first of all, let's set our remote host. So the IP address, right, of this test server, right, which is dot 102. So 192.168.8.102, right? So okay, so set the ports. Which is 45 dash. Then you can see our options. You can see that our remote host and port is set. We can go on to set our local host. Set local host. Local host is the IP address of the attacker, which is 192.168.8.101. Right. Yeah, that's the IP address. Then you can set our local port to the same port that we have here, which is 444. Oh, right. Great. So we also need to set our payload, right? You can see we are given a payload option, right? So let's set our payload. Set the inputs, the payload, guys. Then next thing, you can simply copy these, type it, Windows, right, slash interpreter, then reverse, let's go TCP. That will help us establish our shell, right? Okay, so you can go back to options to see what is available. Okay, so we've been able to set our remote host. Okay, so the next thing we need to set is the SMB user and path. So our set SMB user, right, to administrator. So we want to see if we can carry out a pass-hash attack using administrator, then the NTLM hashes, right, against the test server that we have here that is hosting our application. So why are we doing this, guys? This is to show if we can establish lateral movements, right? So most of the time we use pass-hash to to establish lateral movement, to see if we can also authenticate to other Windows devices connected in that domain, right? So pass-hash attack simply means using the exact hash file, right, to authenticate users, within that domain, so that you can have access to resources. So you are just simply using the same hash file without cracking it offline, right? So that is what we're trying to see. And I'm using the administrator account because I can see that we've been able to dump the hashes for the administrator account. So this is I think this is it should be set SMB user administrator. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Then we're going to set SMB uh, pass, right? True. Guys, you can see I'm just going to paste that. So this is the LM hash, right? Then after the column, you see the NTLM hash. So you're just going to copy both and put it that way, right? You can do your options to confirm everything is fine. Administrator, you can see the hash, you can see the IP address of the test server. Then we are utilizing 445 SMB. Why? Because it's open, right? So at this stage, we're just going to see if we can exploit. We can establish a session, right? So you can see that the exploit is loaded. It's trying to connect to um, the .102. Okay, let's take a look at why we don't have a session. Let's going to establish this again as administrator. Okay, let's see, hopefully. Okay, you can see that it's sending some stage. Okay, guys, we're going to, oh, guys, we have a session right now. Guys, so we're able to establish a session, right? So let me see, info. Okay, so I'm just going to exit this and run this session again. Seems a particular API failed to load. So I'm just going to run this exploit again. Okay, starting services, sending a stage. Okay, great, guys. You can see that it's loaded right now. So we should be able to run our command, right? Info, this is used to set. You can see that we are currently connected to the test server that we have here. It's running. All right, these are the details. We can get the user ID, right? You can see currently we are running with system account privilege, right? So if at this point you're not running with system account privilege, of course, because we are connected with administrator account, right? So if maybe you are using your SMB user, you are using a different account for your SMB user, you could do get system to, escalate privilege, and so that you can be running with the system account, a privilege account, and this will be required, especially if you're trying to dump password hashes. We can dump hash using this is basically to dump SME hash, right, on that particular system. Might need to check for the correct command to do that. Might have to run this. See. So these are the various commands that we can use, right? So what this has shown us that we can establish lateral movement by carrying out a pass-DS attack on the server. So we were able to extract the Ntds.dit file. Don't forget, from the Active Directory. Then also you can see, then we're able to, so you can see we can of course use any of these accounts to log into any connected devices. So just imagine if we have 100 systems, what it means is that the attacker can use any of these accounts without even going out to crack the hashes. You can use the pass-DS attack to gain access to any connected system in that domain, right? So this is a very serious attack. So as much as possible, I think it's very important that organizations need to um, properly look into the security control of the Active Directory to ensure that it is not compromised, because the best form of security control for your Active Directory is to make sure you don't get compromised. Make sure you have your endpoint security solution installed. Make sure you are actively monitoring for rogue accounts that are created if it's compromised. You know, trying to do establish a very good password policy. You know, if possible, you could install a PAM solution that will be used to manage privileged accounts separately, you know, on a vault. So there are several security controls, you know, that we could put in place to ensure that this form of attack is not seen within our organization. Yeah. So this is just one of the various methods we can use to, you know, right, to compromise system and establish lateral movement within an organization. We can see the list of, right, the list of applications. I think, I don't know, this should work. Okay, so these are the list of processes currently running on test server, right? So we could, it's going to do like a net user, you know. Okay, I think we can call up shell, where we can, you say run. So we are currently running CMD from the Metasploit. Then we can do like a net user, you know. So these are the list of local users on that system. So do we have, we can do like a net share, right? So these are the list of shares that we have. So we can do more enumeration. So don't forget, we tried carrying out a partial attack on the system, and we've been able to enumerate certain what's it called, certain important information on the test server, right? So I want to do a tax, is it tax list slash to see list of application. Oh yeah, so this shows us the list of application currently running. You want to take a look at have visibility of the applications, in their antivirus, you know, application monitoring solution, you know, so as to evade any form of detection. So guys, this is one of the techniques that we can use to dump NTDS hashes, you know, and establish lateral movement by carrying out a pass-hash attack, right, on your network. So on the next phase of this series, I'll be looking at the next tool that we can use to carry out the same form of attack. Yeah. So guys, if you have any question, you can beat me up. Thank you.